A major tech rollout worth well over $100 million was on the brink of falling apart totally, until a 62-year-old janitor discovered a bug the top engineers and developers had overlooked for weeks. What followed left the entire company stunned and speechless. Malcolm Hayes always rolled in 15 minutes early, not because anyone demanded it, but because that's how his soul was wired. For 18 years, he'd slipped to the back door of Pinnacle Solutions headquarters in Boise, Idaho, like a ghost nobody questioned. Same worn mop, same scuffed work boots, same faded badge clipped to his belt, swinging like an afterthought. Most folks didn't notice him. Some tossed a quick nod, others sidestepped his cleaning cart without a glance. That suited Malcolm just fine. He wasn't here for the spotlight. Pinnacle Solutions was a juggernaut. Steel and glass towers, electric bike racks out front, fake succulents gathering dust in the atrium. From the outside, it screamed tech utopia. Inside, it was barely contained chaos. Coders hunched over screens, chasing bugs like rats. Managers barked into earpieces, pacing like they were dodging bullets. Nobody had time for the guys scrubbing floors, not unless he blocked their path. Malcolm didn't mind. He saw it all. The developer who broke down in the bathroom last winter, the exec who passed out in the boardroom after too many scotches at a gala, the layoffs that gutted the team during the pandemic. He kept mopping, kept splitting a cold ham sandwich with the night guard, Tarek, by the freight elevator. June 7th started like any other Tuesday. Malcolm parked his battered Ford Focus by the loading dock, swiped his badge, and shuffled into the basement locker room to pull on his gray coveralls. He began his rounds, ground floor, then the executive suites, always saved for last when the big shots were gone. But that night, the 7th floor wasn't empty. As the elevator doors parted, voices hit him, sharp, frayed, like wires sparking. "It's in the data stream," one snapped. "No, we've scrubbed that 4 times. It's the old code. I'm telling you, it's looping like a broken record." Malcolm paused in the hallway, mop handles steadying him. The glass wall meeting room glowed, its motion sensors catching 2 figures hunched over a giant screen, code cascading like a digital waterfall. He recognized one. Sonia Patel, lead systems architect, her braid unraveling from stress. The other, a guy with bloodshot eyes and a crumpled hoodie, was unfamiliar. Malcolm leaned on his mop. He'd been around tech heads long enough to smell trouble. Sonia slammed her fist on the table. "For weeks, Noah. 4. This bug's killing our AI model. Investors are circling, and we're bleeding cash. If we don't fix this, the $100 million launch is dead. Rebuild the stream? That's 2 months we don't have. Client will walk." Malcolm wasn't a coder anymore, not since he left Idaho State in '84 to care for his dad after a stroke. But his mind hadn't dulled. He didn't write software, but he read tech forums, blog posts, even Vertex's internal dev notes when he could sneak a look. He squinted at the screen from a hallway. That loop, that line, it looked off, like a relic from a decade-old system haunting a setup it didn't fit. His gut twisted. He hesitated, then did something he hadn't done in years. He knocked. Noah spun around, eyes narrowing. "Who's that?" Malcolm gave a small nod, polite as ever. "Didn't mean to interrupt," he said, gripping his mop like an anchor. "That loop on the screen, the nested one calling the old handler. It won't play nice with your new stream." Noah blinked, trying to place him. "You're the janitor?" "Yes, sir," Malcolm said, no wince. "Name's Malcolm Hayes." Sonia, less skeptical, stepped forward. "You're Mal, right? Been here forever. What do you mean about the loop?" Malcolm edged closer, pointing but not touching the screen. "That call, it's from a Fourier AI system. Probably from the old Kinetic Labs acquisition. 6 years ago. It's not clearing memory right. Keeps doubling calls, clogging the thread pool. Your model's choking on its own garbage." Noah's eyebrow shot up. "You're saying a memory leak's tanking our $100 million system?" Malcolm shrugged. "Seen it before. Old code doesn't like new games." Sonia glanced at Noah. He might be right. Pull up the thread. Noah scoffed but typed, zooming in on the line Malcolm flagged. This is from the Kinetic Labs merge. It's sandboxed. Shouldn't even be running. It's running, Malcolm said. And it's not sandboxed. It's skipping garbage collection, eating memory every cycle. Sonia's eyes widened. That explains the overflow errors. Noah tested. Noah muttered, swapped the handler, flushed the cache, and hit run. 5 seconds later, the screen, red with errors for weeks, flashed green. The AI stream hummed, stable, no crashes. The room went silent. What the hell? Noah whispered. Sonia turned to Malcolm, jaw half open. How'd you know? Just a hunch, Malcolm said, his voice steady. Saw that kind of loop at Idaho State. Systems major, before life got in the way. Noah stared, incredulous. You guessed on a $100 million project? Malcolm's lips twitched. Not a guess. I read your dev blogs. You post too many screenshots. Notice you're mixing old syntax with new. Something was bound to break. Sonia laughed, a sharp, relieved sound. Mal, you just saved our hides. 18 years, Malcolm said. Started after my dad passed. Needed steady work. Before that, Idaho State, nearly finished. Life had other plans. Noah shook his head. And you're scrubbing floors? For now, Malcolm said, picking up his mop. Check the logs. Make sure that old Kinetic Labs junk's gone before the next build. He turned for the door. Mal, wait, Sonia called. We're telling Elena. You don't walk away from this. No need, Malcolm said, half out the door. You'll sort it. But at Vertex, word spreads faster than a system crash. By Wednesday, Malcolm's name was buzzing, whispers in break rooms, Slack threads popping off. The janitor fixed the AI bug. Get out of here. Some called it a prank, others a metaphor for a coder cleaning up. But the junior devs who'd seen him in the hallway, mop in hand, started connecting dots. Sonia didn't deny it, though Noah stayed quiet. By 10 a.m., a coder named Aisha stopped Malcolm near the vending machines. That was you, right? The stream fix? That's insane. Malcolm chuckled, just pointed out a line. They did the rest. Nobody else saw it. Aisha said, shaking his hand. You're a legend. Malcolm shrugged, but the air was shifting. People who'd ignored him now nodded, some with respect, others with unease. The whispers followed him down the halls. And he kept his head down, mopping as always. He wasn't here for fame, but it was creeping closer. That afternoon, as he emptied bins near the C-suite, the elevator dinged. Elena Ruiz, Vertex's CEO, stepped out, sharp in a slate blazer, her presence like a storm front. Mr. Hayes, she said, her voice slicing through the office hum. Malcolm straightened, wiping his hands on his coveralls. Ma'am, I heard you fixed our stream issue, she said, her eyes scanning like a code parser. Just a suggestion, Malcolm said. Sonia and Noah handled it. She stepped closer, her gaze steady. Your suggestion saved us millions and months. Why didn't you speak up sooner? Wasn't my place, he said, meeting her eyes. Elena tilted her head. And if you hadn't, someone else would have caught it, he said, shrugging. Eventually, she studied him, then gestured to her office. 10 minutes. I'll cover your shift. Malcolm hesitated, then followed her into a sleek, glass-walled office he'd only ever polished. She motioned to a chair, and he sat, careful not to mark the leather. Why are you a janitor? She asked, leaning forward. Studied systems at Idaho State, he said. Dropped out in '84 for my dad. Stroke. Needed steady work after. This job paid, had benefits. Plan a year. Turned into 18. Would you go back to tech? She asked. At 62, he raised an eyebrow. I'm good with a mop. You're more than good, she said, her smile thin but real. What you did wasn't luck. It was skill. We need that. Malcolm didn't reply, but her words lingered heavy as his mop. 2 days later, an envelope appeared in his locker. Thick, silver embossed, not the usual scheduled printout. Inside was an offer: junior systems analyst, AI division, triple salary, full benefits, stock options. At 62, Junior made him chuckle, but the number was no joke. He tucked it in his pocket and kept mopping, not ready to decide. That night, he called his daughter, Lena, in Boise. "Got an offer today," he said, voice low. "Tech job, systems analyst." Lena paused and laughed. "Dad, no way. At Vertex." "Told you it was weird," he said, recounting the night with Sonia and Noah. Not sure what to do. "You take it," she said, firm. "You always said don't waste your talents. This is yours." He didn't sleep much. By morning, he left a note for Tarek. Moving to a new floor. Don't let them use that citrus wax. Too slippery. He marched to HR, signed the papers, and traded his coverall for a button-down and jeans, carrying a leather satchel from Lena's graduation. His first day in AI lab was like stepping onto another planet. Desks buzzed with coders half his age, some curious, others skeptical. Sonia waved him over, grinning. Noah kept his eyes on his screen. They gave Malcolm a desk with 2 monitors and a notepad, a setup he dreamed of at 22. But the pace was relentless. Jargon flew, frameworks he hadn't touched in decades. He spent nights catching up, reading docs, rewriting code to keep pace. By week 2, he was flagging bugs, optimizing streams, his voice quiet but weighty when he spoke. Not everyone was on board. A sticky note appeared on his desk. "Stay in your lane." He left it there, a silent challenge. Noah's cold shoulder grew icier, bypassing him in meetings, dismissing his ideas with a smirk. "This isn't 1985, Mal," he'd say, earning uneasy chuckles. One evening, Aisha caught him by the vending machines. "Noah's threatened," she said. "You're outshining him." "Been dodging egos for years," Malcolm said. "Same game, different uniform." The real trouble hit in week 3. Malcolm submitted a patch for a data normalization module, clean, tested, efficient. Noah rejected it without explanation, not protocol. Then HR sent a vague email about a culture fit check-in. Malcolm smelled the setup. That Friday, he sat in the company library, typing a reflection on his laptop. He wasn't angry, just worn, tired of proving himself in a world that didn't see him. Elena appeared, no blazer, just a sweater. "Heard about your patch," she said, sitting across from him. "It was solid. Why'd they reject it?" "Not standard," Malcolm said, his voice flat. "It worked," she said. "They're scared of different. Always have been." Malcolm looked out the window. "So what do you do?" "You make them listen," she said. "Town hall next week. I want you there." The town hall drew a crowd, fueled by sushi and rumors. Elena took the stage. No notes, no slides. "I want to tell you a story," she began. "Last month, our $100 million AI launch was crumbling. Someone who didn't have a login, didn't sit in our meetings, saw what we missed. Malcolm Hayes, 18 years a janitor, saved us." The room hushed. She walked to the back, where Malcolm sat, and shook his hand. Effective immediately, Malcolm Hayes is a systems analyst. This is a wake-up call. Talent doesn't wear a title. The applause was uneven, but it grew. Malcolm nodded, his chest tight. Later, as he left, a folder hit his back, a scholarship packet, tossed by Noah. "Enjoy your retirement gift." Noah sneered. Malcolm picked it up, tucked it under his arm, and walked out. The next morning, a new envelope arrived. Malcolm Hayes Scholarship Fund. Full ride for underrepresented CS students. He froze, the weight of his name on something so big sinking in. That afternoon, Elena asked him to speak at a STEM outreach event. "Not my thing," he said. "You're perfect for it," she replied. 2 weeks later, he faced 40 high schoolers in Boise. Kids like he'd been sharp, skeptical, overlooked. He didn't talk bugs or code. He talked about dropping out, caring for his dad, reading manuals on lunch breaks. "Sometimes you're not locked out," he said. "The door is just hidden." A girl asked, "Is it too late if I miss my shot?" "I'm 62, Malcolm said. Got mine last month. You're fine. Back at Vertex, a flyer on his door read, Malcolm Hayes, systems analyst and legend. Sonia's doing, no doubt, but trouble brewed. His desk was moved by the copier. Meetings forgot to include him, and Noah nitpicked his code. A sprint planning session turned ugly when Noah shot down Malcolm's optimization plan. We don't build on luck, he snapped. Malcolm held his ground. Tested it. It works. The room buried it. Later, on a loading dock bench, Aisha joined him. They're scared, she said. You're proof they're not untouchable. I just want to build, he said, coffee cold in his hand. The next crisis hit Friday. The AI model crashed, wiping hours of medical data. Noah barked orders, but Malcolm spotted the issue. A deprecated table call, slipped in by a sloppy backup script. Someone pushed it live, he said, pointing. Yesterday, 6:17 p.m. Noah paled. That's not possible. It is, Malcolm said. Wrong branch. Elena appeared, demanding a fix. Malcolm rolled it back in 10 minutes. The system purring again. Stay. Elena said as others left. You saved us again. Just caught it early, he said. Noah didn't, she said. He's reassigned. You got space to contribute now. I don't want respect, Malcolm said. I want fairness. You have it, she said. And the floor wax schedule? Every hallway, he grinned. No citrus wax. That night, in his car, Malcolm tore up the stay in your lane note, letting the pieces scatter. He'd built a new road and he wasn't turning back. Until months after. 8 months ago, Malcolm's life had shifted. He'd spotted a bug in Pinnacle's $100 million AI pipeline, a glitch that had stumped their top engineers for weeks. One late-night knock on a conference room door, one pointed finger at a roll code loop, and he'd saved the launch. That moment had yanked him from janitor to systems analyst in the AI division, earned him a scholarship fund in his name, and stirred whispers across Boise's tech scene. But glory fades fast in a place like Pinnacle, where egos burn brighter than server lights. Old grudges and new enemies were about to prove that brilliance doesn't erase the past. It just paints a bigger target. Malcolm parked his beat-up Toyota Corolla by the loading dock. Same spot as always, though now he entered through the main doors. His badge read systems analyst, AI division, but his old leather satchel, stuffed with tech manuals, a notepad, and a photo of his daughter, Lena, carried the weight of his janitor days. He wore a flannel shirt and jeans, no suit, no swagger. The mop was gone, but Malcolm Hayes was still Malcolm Hayes. The 7th floor was a war zone of stress. Coders hunched over screens, Slack notifications popping like firecrackers, energy drink cans piling up. Malcolm's desk, shoved next to the whirring printer after a petty relocation, was a fortress of order. 2 monitors, a stack of logs, and a sticky note he hadn't tossed. Stay in your lane. It wasn't sentiment. It was a reminder that some still saw him as the floor guy, no matter what he'd built. Sonia Patel, the lead architect who'd backed him during the bug fix, waved him over. Mal, you see the new data set? Client wants a demo by Thursday, and it's a wreck, corrupted labels, duplicate rows. Malcolm scanned her screen, spotting a familiar glitch. Ingestion scripts skipping checks. I'll have a patch by noon. You're a damn miracle, Sonia said, her braid unraveling from stress. Watch out, though. Julian's gonna hate you for it. Julian Reed, the senior coder who'd sneered at Malcolm's bug fix, hadn't thawed. His dismissals had sharpened into barbs. Not bad for a guy who used clean to Johns, he muttered in last week's sprint review, loud enough to sting. Malcolm let it slide, but the air crackled with tension, and Julian wasn't the only one holding a grudge. At 11 a.m., a new face appeared in the lab. Claudia Morrow, a transfer from Pinnacle's Denver office, hired as a senior data engineer. Mid-40s, with a steel gaze and a reputation for slashing dead weight, she carried herself like a blade. Whispers followed. She dismantled teams at her last job, and her arrival had Julian grinning like he'd just cashed a check. Claudia is here to trim the fat, he told a coder, his voice carrying to Malcolm. No room for stragglers. Malcolm's jaw tightened. The name Morrow hit like a ghost. Back at Boise State in '82, a professor named Roland Morrow had failed him in a programming course, calling his work amateur and his background unsuited for tech. Was Claudia related? The memory burned, but Malcolm pushed it down, focusing on the dataset patch. He didn't know the past was about to collide with the present, and it was bringing a storm. By noon, his patch was live, the dataset clean. Sonia fist bumped him, but Julian's desk was empty. He'd slipped off to a strategy session with Claudia. The lab felt colder, like a fuse had been lit. Malcolm stayed late, digging through server logs, his old janitor instincts sharp. Watch, listen, find the cracks before they split wide open. He was about to uncover a plot that would rattle Pinnacle to its foundations. That night, as he locked his desk, an anonymous email pinged his inbox. No subject, just a link to a hidden server folder. Curiosity won out. Inside were logs from a shadow project, Umbra, an unannounced AI model running parallel to Pinnacle's main system. The code was a disaster. Backdoors, unpatched bugs, and worse, it was leaching data from the primary AI pipeline Malcolm had saved. His pulse quickened. Someone was sabotaging Pinnacle, and the logs pointed to Julian's commits. Malcolm didn't sleep. He spent the night tracing code, finding 3 months of covert uploads. Julian wasn't alone. Claudia's approvals were all over the shadow project, her digital signature tied to every major change. The plan was clear. Crash Pinnacle's main AI demo, pitch Umbra as a breakthrough fix, and let Julian and Claudia claim the glory while Pinnacle lost millions. But why? And how deep did it go? The next morning, Malcolm took the evidence to Sonia. Her face drained as she scrolled through the logs. This is a death sentence, Mal. If this leaks, we lose everything, clients, investors, all of it. Why would Julian do this? Ambition, Malcolm said, his voice low. He wanted a corner office. Claudia's his ladder. Sonia frowned. She's new. How's she involved? Malcolm paused, then shared a suspicion about Roland Morrow, the professor who derailed him at Boise State. If she's his daughter or kin, this might be personal. Morrow called me a nobody. Maybe she's settling his score. That's a long shot, Sonia said, skeptical. Maybe, Malcolm replied. But I don't trust long shots that smell like this. They took it to Elise Carver, Pinnacle CEO, in her sleek, windowed office. Elise's eyes sliced through the logs like a scalpel. This is betrayal, she said. If Julian and Claudia are stealing data, they're not just out, they're in court. But we need hard proof. I'll get it, Malcolm said. Give me 48 hours. Be careful, Elise warned. They'll come for you if they know you're sniffing around. Malcolm's lips twitched. I've dodged worse than them for 18 years. He spent 2 days in the shadows, pulling log from backup servers, working after hours. He found more. Umbra was being prepped for a rival firm, Vertex Dynamics, with Claudia as a conduit. Encrypted emails between her and a Vertex exec confirmed it. They planned to tank Pinnacle's demo next week, leak Umbra as a superior model, and poach Pinnacle's clients. Julian was the inside man, bitter at being outdone by a janitor. Claudia's motive was darker, a buried email reference, finishing what my father started. Malcolm's hunch was right. Claudia was Roland Morrow's daughter, carrying a 40-year grudge against a student her father had dismissed. The twist hit on day 3. Malcolm found a kill switch in Umbra, a subroutine coded to wipe Pinnacle's mainframe if activated during the demo. It wasn't just sabotage. It was a digital guillotine designed to erase data, contracts, and trust. Malcolm's hand shook as he isolated the code, his mind racing back to Boise State, where Roland had mocked him as unfit. This was revenge, decades in the making. He brought it to Elise, who called an emergency board meeting with Sonia. We stop this now. Elise said, Malcolm, can you neutralize the kill switch? Done, he said, handing over a USB drive. Patched it to loopback. It's dead. Elise's jaw clenched. We confront them tomorrow. The showdown was brutal. No fist, but plenty of venom. In the 7th floor conference room, Julian and Claudia sat, defiant until Elise dropped the logs. Julian's face collapsed. Claudia's turned to stone. This is a frame-up, Claudia snapped. Hayes is lying. Malcolm stood, steady as ever. Logs don't lie. Your signatures are on every commit. Vertex is waiting for your delivery. Julian cracked, mumbling about no choice and pressure. Claudia's glare locked on Malcolm. You're still the nobody my father warned me about, she hissed. This won't hold. It's held, Elise said, nodding to security. You're done. As they were let out, Julian threw a parting shot. You'll always be the floor guy, Hayes. Malcolm didn't blink. And you'll always be the guy who got caught. The aftermath was swift. Pinnacle's demo dazzled clients, the patched AI model shining. The Malcolm Hayes Scholarship Fund surged, applications pouring in from kids who saw themselves in him. But the win was bittersweet. Whispers followed. Some coders called him a fluke, others a threat. Sonia, his ally, saw the shift. You're rewriting the rules, she told him over lunch. But it's heavy, isn't it? Always was, Malcolm said, his voice rough, just louder now. That night, he sat with Lena on her Boise porch, the city's lights flickering below. You did it again, Dad, she said. Save them. Didn't save me, he said, staring at the stars. Let them make me small for too long. Thought it was safer. You're not small, Lena said, gripping his hand. You're a mountain. He smiled, but the scars lingered. The scholarship, the job, they were his, but so were the ghosts. Claudia was gone, but new enemies would rise. Pinnacle was cleaner, but not clean. Malcolm had carved his lane, but walking it meant carrying the weight of old notes, old grudges, and a past that never quite let go. Some nights, he wondered if the fight was worth it. To anyone who's been pushed aside, Malcolm's story whispers, your lane's yours to forge, but it comes at a cost. Keep moving. If Malcolm's story lit a fire in you, smash that like button and subscribe for more tales of grit and genius. Comment below what moment hit you hardest. Also comment where you are watching from. See you another time, and bye.